what is DISC? Tell us what DISC is.
Well, to me, this is it's a tool. It's only a tool, and it's a what I classify it as. It's a behavioural style inventory, and it shows what it does is it shows your preferred behavioural style, and I say preferred because everybody behaves in different ways, but everyone has a preferred style that they use, that they prefer to use. It's a little bit like if you fold your arms, you usually fold them the one way, but you can't fold them the other way, but you prefer to fold them one way. So it's just a preference on how you behave, and those preferences indicate a lot to people that you're communicating with or you're working with, and all those sorts of things. So it.
So DISC is, I understand it, stands for four areas, D-I-S-C. Do you want to tell us what the four areas are, Rob, and what it means for?
Yeah, DISC is in quadrants, in four quadrants, and a lot of people say don't put me in those quadrants, but it's only a preference, and you usually do prefer to acting one of those quadrants, or two. You usually have a backup style. But the D is for dominant, which means that the behaviours are you decide you're direct, you make quick decisions, you don't want much detail. The I is for influential, which means that you're full of ideas, you're a good communicator, you're out there, you're full of ideas, those sorts of things. The S is the steady, stable. So people in the S quadrant usually their behaviour is usually steady, secure, safety. They real people. They care about people. And the C is for compliance. So the quadrant C, the behaviours are normally a lot of detail. They're very compliant. They're really detailed in what they do, and they need a lot of detail before they make a decision.
Okay, so we've got four personality types: dominant, influential, steady or stable, and compliant. What we can identify people and their preferred characteristic or preferred behaviour pattern in one of those four quadrants. How do we use it?
Well, once you know this and you realise that people do have a preference in behaviour, you can usually predict how they're going to react in different circumstances. You can learn how they prefer to communicate. Therefore, then if you know yourself and know your style, you can actually adapt your style to their style, which is the best out of it. Because you get more out of people when you adapt to their style, because they're more likely to listen to you. They're more likely to take what you're saying on board, and you get a lot better results out of your people when you do that sort of stuff.
Okay, so I remember a mentor of mine saying once, don't do unto people as you would have done unto yourself, do unto people as they want to be done unto.
Yep.
Bit of a mouthful, but essentially saying when, change your patterns of behaviour to reflect theirs, it's a much better way to manage.
Yeah, it is, because if you can change your behaviour or adapt, it's not so much change, it's adapt to their style, you're going to hold their attention much longer. When you're talking to someone that's like glazed over, it'll be that you're not communicating with their style, and they just switch off. And every style has a different switch off time or a different switch off topic, and the amount of detail or the pace that you're giving it and things like that. So it's about knowing how you prefer, and then knowing the other person and adapting your style to their style to the best out.
Okay, so when I was running my recruitment company, we'd often use DISC to profile people, I guess, to get an understanding of their personality style, to consider the role that they might be going in, and more importantly, the types of people that they might be working with, and making sure that we were putting complementary skills together, with perhaps a manager or subordinates. Do you want to talk us through some examples of where you've done that or seen that and the sorts of results that you've had?
Yeah, look, in recruitment, I worked as a recruiter for 3 years, but in my own teams, it's very important to know your team, the profile of your team, because in any team, if you haven't got one of the profiles, you've actually got a weakness in your team, because the team needs all the different styles to operate most effectively. So in all my teams, I would know their profiles, and then when I was recruiting, I would look at the profile of the team and what I was deficient in, but also look at the profile that best matched that position that I wanted. Like if you wanted detail in the position, yeah, you would tend to go to someone that was out of the compliance problem, or that was the secondary, that was the backup style. So I used to use it all the time to make sure that I had a most effective team that I could do.
So you think in any team it's important to have all four quadrants covered and have someone in each of the seats?
Yeah, it is important to have it in any team. It is important because if you don't, you've got a weakness in the team, because every one of those quadrants has a preferred, attribute, and they have strengths and they have weaknesses. And if you don't cover the weaknesses in your team, you're actually insufficient in that area.
Okay, great. So we've got a couple of questions that come in, and any of our regular viewers that are wondering why Emma's not joining us, she's kind of lost her voice a fair bit, so she's struggling a little bit, but she's sending me some messages and smiling there in the bottom of the screen. But Rob, the first question comes from Stephen, and he says, how is it used in the workplace? So we may have... go ahead.
Sorry.
We may have covered that a bit. We're talking about having complementary skills and finding people in a recruitment sense to use that, and also you mentioned something about managing or changing, the way you deal with somebody. Do you want to give us an example of that?
Oh, look, there's many examples of how you deal with people. If you know yourself, like I'm a certified D, but my secondary is an S, and it's might fluctuate between the D and the S very quickly. I think you can do that in my conversation. My wife sort of got me. She goes to communicate to me, and I'll say something and say, "Oh, you're in that one today, are you?" But a prime example is that I had a very strong S working for me when I was in an office in Northampton, and I used to drive from Ukraine every day, and the day that I was really, really busy, and I had there was a lot of stress and a lot of things I had to do, and I used to have to walk through her office to get to my office. And normally I would stop and say good day, how are you going, and all that sort of stuff. What's your good thing? Anyway, this day I just walked straight through, said, how you going? And I went straight through my office, and I was on the phone. And anyway, about half an hour later, I had this little knock at the door, and without looking up, I just said, come in. And then there was another little knock at the door, and I looked up, and it was this girl, and I said, what's wrong? And she said, what have I done wrong? And I knew straight away then what it was, that I hadn't stopped that morning and said good day to her. I said, you've done nothing wrong. She said, you're cranky with me. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm just really busy. So it's just all those little things that you've got to remember to keep your staff really motivated and happy. You've got to think about what their behaviours they prefer and what style they are, and cater for them.
And that's really important, because people typically don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. So in that circumstance, you're in a hurry, you're busy, you're not necessarily short with the person, but you're short with the person. They take offence. Next thing, they're looking for a new job, when actually there was no problem there. It was just that mismatch of personality styles.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's all about their perception of your behaviour. Yeah. And we're the ones that are we're aware of the disc. It's our responsibility then to use the disc to make sure that our team is easy and happy.
I have two kids. I have a son who's a D-type personality and a daughter who's a C-type personality, and it's always interesting when I ask them, how was your day? Because my son, being dominant and direct, he says good, and that's about as much as I get. And my daughter, being the compliant, details cautious analytical type, she says, well, the alarm went off at 5:55 and I hit snooze and rolled over till 6, and then at 6:03 I got out of bed, and 20 minutes later I'm thinking, why did I ask?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I've just 3 children, and I have 3 different ones. I have an I have a C, and I have an F. And you've got to deal with each one of them differently. Yeah.
Okay. So Jenny said in a question, and she said, typically, what are the roles for the 4 personality types, or are there even roles for the 4 personality types?
There's not dead set roles for the 4 personality types, but some personalities actually are better suited to some roles, like an accountant. If you didn't have someone that had a lot of different science program in them, you would wonder whether they were going to be detailed enough or make sure the figures really balanced. So things like that. A doer, get out and you want a job done. The D's go out there, that's probably they don't listen to enough detail sometimes, and they just go and do it, and they keep having go at it until they get it done. So really, anybody can be any style and be like I've met all sorts of industries, all sorts of people in industries, like these different styles, and I wonder sometimes how they're actually in that industry that they can do it. So there isn't a dead set style or a dead set position.
Okay, so we've got preferred styles for different roles, but not necessarily an absolute style. So if you're if you're one style, you're not going to be a teacher. It's not as cut and dry as that.
No, that's right. Yeah, like they're influential, they're fun loving, and they're full of ideas, and they try all different things. If you had a brain surgeon sitting by, they'd be joking around, and you're starting to get a little bit concerned. but they can do it, It's like I always say, my wife and I say, I'd hate you to be the pilot of my plane. We'd be in a bit of an emergency, and you'd say, oh, what's this button do? Let's press it. But there is pilots that do come out of the high quadrant. So yeah, we can do it.